girls are falling in love with married men, falling pregnant for married men, and many married men are telling them, no, abort this child, or no, I'm gonna give you this. There is a mindset like that from certain women where they're saying, so long as he's not, violating me, so long as he's treating me right, so long as he's giving me what I want, so long as he's, taking care of me, and what he does, it really doesn't matter. There's women like that, that they don't really care. So long as he's not, violating me, so long as he's treating me right, so long as he's giving me what I want, so long as he's, taking care of me, and what he does, it really doesn't matter. This is the Unspoken Podcast, and I am your host, Chrisley. Every week, I will bring you a hot, juicy, life-changing topic. So join me every Friday at 8 p.m. Links in your DMs. Make sure to follow me on Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Radio Republic. That is where you have access to the podcast. But hey, if you cannot access it on the app, make sure to go through it on the website. That is if you cannot access it on the app. Well, I will be waiting for your responses in the comments. Yes, links in your DMs, and do follow. So right now, let's go right into the episode. Wow, welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Chrisley, and you are on the Unspoken Podcast show, and it's a beautiful Friday. Yes, I like to call it beautiful, even if it hasn't been a beautiful day for me. I think I've found serenity and I found peace in appreciating fire when in the fire and just letting it slide, letting things pass you, letting a day be a day, and accepting that even if your day has been bad, it is still a day and you have life, and just taking each day and step at a time. So that's how I approach things now. So yes, you are on the podcast, and as you've seen from the episode, if you did not listen to our previous episode, which apologies, I know you expected an episode last Friday of which I didn't deliver, so I apologize today. And if you're new to the podcast, please kindly follow on YouTube. It is Unspoken Podcast Show, and you will find every episode that you've probably missed. So if this is your first one, welcome to the episode. Kuno triba free ero kuno timakamba cha beveti mafuno kamba, but not vulgar. We speak our minds, and we speak logically, and we speak words of understanding and wisdom, right here to build each other. So if you didn't listen to the previous episode, we were in a whole theme, okay, and it was the world of the married, and this is the last part of it. We're listening to what the husband has to say. We started from the side chicks. We started from falling in love with a married man, and we heard the stories of the young girls that have fallen in love with married men, right? But I'm not going to give a whole summary on that. We're going to go direct into the episode, and here we're listening to what the husbands have to say about side chicks, right? We do know that we're living in a society. We're not going to beat around the bush, that we're living in a society where married men today are having side chicks. They're sleeping around. And should we call that cheating though? Or we're going to go with the fact that men are just naturally polygamous, which will be dealt with in part 2. As you've seen from the poster, this is part 1. It is a heavy topic after all, right? Yes. So the approach that we're taking in today's episode is, should we as women, all right, I am 23 and I am married, but I do look forward to getting married one day. Should I expect that my husband will cheat on me later on? Should that be something that I should look forward to? Like, okay, ngavachitika vizachitika, you know what I mean? Is that something that I should, put one leg in and, one outside, so that ngavachitika, I know that anyway, vichitika, so long as, he's good to me, so long as he's treating me. And, that's the thing. There's a mindset like that. There is a mindset like that from certain women where they're saying, so long as he's not, violating me, so long as he's treating me right, so long as he's giving me what I want, so long as he's, taking care of me, and what he does, it really doesn't matter. There's women like that. That they don't really care. But I believe that not every woman is like that, right? Not every wife is like that. Not everyone who wants to get married wants to have that at the back of their head that, oh, my husband is naturally polygamous and he cannot hold himself down to just me. You know what I mean? So that is what we're looking at today. What is the gimmick behind this married men? And I like to ask questions, and I ask this question: why? Okay, what's behind it? What pushes you to want to sleep around? And as we heard from the previous episodes, we heard what the side chicks themselves actually had to say in I fell in love with a married man, and they said, it just happens. And I also, put in my 2 cents where I said, it is possible to fall in love with a married man even when you don't know that you are actually falling in love. And I think I gave my experience. I said, when I noticed that I was getting to that too close to a person who was married, I distanced myself. And because it is possible, right? But we heard from the lives of the people that actually fell in love, and it's amazing to know that these things are actually happening, and girls are falling in love with married men, falling pregnant for married men, and many married men are telling them, no, abort this child, or no, I'm gonna give you this, get out of the city and whatever. And so the question now is on the married men themselves. Why? Should that be something that we as young girls, or we as the unmarried, or even just the divorced wives, women that have been left for a side chick, should that be something that we should accept, or there is actually good out there, right? This is a question that we're asking. So Danny today is going to tell us exactly, as from the side of a married man. He's been married and he's married. I like the fact that he's coming from a very peculiar point of view. At the same time, he is in a younger generation. He's not really in the older generation. I'm pretty sure most of us know him. Danny TSG, very good friend of mine. I like to call him my teacher because I learn a lot from him. So yes, I asked him to be part of this. I asked him to help and support me in this episode, just to give an insight, because there's so many things that I can say that may not really relate to me, and that's why I like to bring in minds of other people and voices of other people so that they say what they have to say about it. And that is what I'm about, and that is what this podcast is about. That is I'm not being a voice, but giving a voice, giving a platform for other people to share their stories. And he said, you know what, Chris, I'm going to say my name in this thing. He did a whole thing, and it's amazing. So we're going to listen to what Danny has to say.
Yo, what's good? I go by the name Danny TSG Humane, Mr. Don't Tell Him. Mushipe. Don't tell him I told you. So first of all, thank you so much to Chris Lay, or Chris Lee, or Chris Tidi, for mkopala. Chava feno fole imoneshina. Yeah, but let's keep it at Chris. Let's not step on some toes here. Yeah, I would like to say thank you. Thanks for having me on this platform. Big ups. Great stuff you're doing. Having conversation that most people are scared of having, or at least reluctant. There are people having these conversations just in private, but you've chosen to use your voice to address a whole lot of things. And people won't always agree. People won't always disagree. People won't always share it. People won't always like and leave a comment. But I want you to know that your voice is being heard, and keep it up. God is proud of you, especially that you are having a lot of these conversations from a biblical worldview. So for me, that's important. And I hope even what I share today is going to encourage someone in that light. I hope someone can learn a thing or two. They don't have to agree with me, but yeah, hope they learn. Hope you learn, dear listener. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Married men and side chicks. What's that about? What's going on? Should people expect it? Should young and married girls expect it? Saying, okay, one day, nganakwata balume, bakulachita entertain abantu bambi. One day, nganakwata balume, I need to be on the lookout. I think we need to talk about this. It's happening, and if you think it's not, just wait. Statistics will show soon. Soon it will be a reason as to why people are divorcing. And I guess it is a reason already, because no woman wants to be in a relationship where they're just an option. There's another one who's catching their person's attention, So for that reason, we need to really, really, really talk about these things and encourage one another to do the right thing. Yeah, so I think with the issue of side chicks, it begins in the heart. It's important for us to know that human beings are sinful. Human beings are naturally inclined to doing what's wrong. So as a married person, anything is possible, okay? It doesn't have to take so much to get me to mess up. I'm as human as any other person. Every married man you see out there is as human as you are. Marriage doesn't deal with people's last issues. Walikuwa tolu insona ngulu nkumbwa. Kutiwa upa na kutiwa upwa, but it will still be there. You will still feel like, let me get a piece of that. Let me eat from that plate. You know what I mean? You won't be comfortable. Some of the people we've seen cheat on their spouses, it's like, bro, that woman pretty, she fine. But what happened? So you find people obviously have different reasons, but at the core of any person who cheats and chooses another woman over their own woman, it's discontentment. This is not being at a place where you know that, okay, what I'm getting is enough, and me sleeping with this person or me entertaining this person won't deal with that lack of satisfaction in my heart. So in case you forget everything I'm saying, I want you to know that every human being is messed up, me inclusive. We all have issues. So even in the Bible, that's why when you read portions like Romans 12 verse 2, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There is some transformation that needs to happen in any Christian's life. They need to be a growing Christian so that those heart issues are being dealt with. There are other portions of scripture, should be Proverbs 4:22 or 23, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can search for the scripture. I'll paraphrase. The scripture I'm trying to quote says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring all issues of life, And then this very heart is sinful and desperately wicked. The Bible tells us that. So what am I trying to get at? It's that married or not married, there's a problem, okay? And Christian or not Christian, there's still a problem, because even the Christian is still dying to self. Even the Christian is still having to choose God. Even the Christian is still having to walk in the Spirit. So without that, you'll find that people will act on all their desires, even the wrong ones. So you see this side chick, pretty, fine, and Mwambo kuichita entertain. Hello, the wrong things sometimes feel good. I'm not sure if you remember, I don't know, primary school. I started doing bad things even as early as primary school. So primary school, if you don't do this, that's what you find the kids doing. And as we grow, as we become adults, you find that our toys change. Just because we no longer play with those toys that you find Mushoprite doesn't mean we're still not trying to toy around. There are people who've changed what they toy around with, so that's if that English even exists. But you get my point. There are people who are still thinking, I can play around with any female, sleep with her, do things with her and not care. My wife won't find out. It needs to remain as our little dirty secret with this girl, and I'll flash her with gifts.
Wow, amazing. We're going to continue this in part 2. I know you wanted to hear more, but due to time, there is a specific time limit that I want to just, I don't want it to go overboard, because you will get bored at the end of the day. I was advised by some wise people saying, don't let it be too long. So yes, we're cutting it here, and we're going to continue in part 2, where we're going to continue. We're going to we're going to continue to the point of what Danny, is heading at. And it is true, actually. It is true. You will flash her with all sorts of gifts. You will do this and you will think, I like what he says. As we grow, our toys change, and people have probably just changed the toys that they play with. You know what I mean? Childish. In here, I like to look at it as childish mentality. So for me, I see it as men who haven't yet grown up. Wow. And for me, that is just my revelation from what he has to say. I don't know what yours is. Please share with me. Be kind to share with me what for you, from your point of view, your POV, what is coming. But as for me, it is childish mentality. Skanasile. And then probably for many guys who never had the opportunity to date when they were younger, and for other guys, it's the money, the fame. Probably he was poor. He had a poor background, and now he's making a lot of money. And now, the money has given him power, and now he feels like Minewo. I see it from a lot of men. It could be in the club, it could be out. There's just always, but yeah, you will tell that but anyway, that is the episode. Join me next week Friday for yet another amazing. We continue on this one, and Danny is coming on as well to continue what he was saying, where he talks about now the reality of things, so this will continue in part 2. Let's catch up next week, and I do hope that please share this episode. I want to say thank you for taking time to listen to this episode. You've taken the time out of your own schedule to just take the time to listen to this episode. Give it a thumbs up, all right, on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up as well on Anchor. Do follow the links as well. If you're having problems with the Anchor link to listen as well, do share. Please share this podcast. Many people need to listen to this. Many people need to know that they need to talk about these things. You know what I mean? Whether or not you're in the church, especially the church, especially believers and Christians, we need to listen and talk about these things more. And that is why my podcast is here. So help me do my due diligence right here on this earth. Yes, by sharing this podcast with your friends and your families. Well, as for me, Chrisley, it is goodbye and have a good weekend.